Hey, nice to see you. How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Hello.
This movie really brings out a childlike sense of wonder. While you were making it, were there moments when you felt that same kind of excitement you had as a kid?
I mean, completely. I felt that same sense of childhood wonder, as you put it, every day that I was filming this movie. It's so rare that as adults we get to kind of step back into our childhood. We get to play with swords every day. We get to walk through these incredible sets with mountains and volcanoes and rivers, and so really for the space of about 6 months this was my everyday, and I just had the most fun making this movie.
This is such a BFX heavy film, and a finished version is huge and spectacular. And on set, I imagine you had to use a lot of imagination. When you finally saw the finished film, what surprised or excited you the most?
It was a mixed bag, because I was kind of impressed with how amazing the sets were. The practical sets were so beautifully built out that I actually had to do a lot less imagining than I had expected going into a movie like this. But that being said, there's so much that wasn't possible to do on the day that when I finally saw the movie in its final form a couple days ago, I was stunned. I mean, it's so visually stunning. I think especially in the Enchanted Forest that I was really impressed by. Like, the colors they just felt so unique, like you hadn't seen anything like that before. I will say that the Enchanted Forest on the day, that set was one of the most beautiful sets I've ever been in. It was like they really did build out a forest on the soundstage, and I believed it when I was in it that I was in a forest. But to see it on camera with all the other effects and all the other things happening around it was amazing.
What time is it in Tokyo right now?
It's 7 a.m.
Okay, bright and early.
Don't worry, thank you. And I love all the characters in this film, but I especially love Jared Leto's Skeletor. He also brings a lot of comedy to the character. And why did you feel Jared was a light actor for Skeletor, and why was it important to give this character that sense of humor?
I mean, to me, a sense of humor, or a sense of play and just comedy is a core part of the DNA of the character of Skeletor. He was one of the most iconic villains of my childhood, one of the most iconic villains of the 80s as far as I'm concerned. But there was something about him. He looked cool, he was weird, he was scary and intimidating, he had this very distinctive laugh and voice, and he was also really, really funny, and so much of that was just rooted in his insecurities.
You may have the power, but you're too scared to use it.
Trust me, I know how to use it.
When I started speaking with Jared about bringing that character to life, I was surprised, delightfully so, that Jared had his own connection with the character. He watched He-Man when he was a kid. He loved the character of Skeletor. That was his favorite character. And so he knew what made Skeletor special, and he wanted to do our own new cinematic version of it. It meant honoring what came before without doing mimicry, without trying to do some kind of impersonation of what came before, but just honoring those key characteristics and bringing it to life in a new, fun way. And man, did he ever. I mean, he chews the scenery like you couldn't believe. And, Skeletor on the screen, he's so much fun, he's so entertaining, he's so terrible, and yet he's just an absolute delight to watch, and I'm really, really proud of it.
Your physique in this film is incredible. What do you think was the most important thing when it comes to bulking up for this role?
Yeah. Look, I'd say consistency is the most important thing. There's so many days where you go into work and, your shoulder's hurting or your leg's hurting, you're tired and you don't want to do it. But, just staying consistent every day for 5 months or whatever it was, that was the key.
Tila's action style felt distinct from the other characters. How did you approach her physicality and the way she fights?
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, in comparison to all the other creatures and the men that surround me, I'm much smaller. So we kind of approached, what would make Tila a really good, skilled fighter. The answer was that she would be quick and swift, and that she'd be really precise with her movements. And sometimes, I like to compare her to like a bird being very sharp.
I actually had a chance to interview you when you came to Japan for Bumblebee in 2019. And at the time, you told me that your principle was not to repeat yourself and to always put yourself outside your comfort zone. And with this film, what was a new challenge for you?
Oh my God, there were so many things that I'd never done before on this movie. So many times where I just looked at the day, like what we needed to get for the day. I'm like, how the hell are we gonna do this? No, I do believe that. I do like kind of the challenge of doing something new. Every single time that I make a movie, I have to approach it as if this is the only chance I ever get to play with these characters in this world. And so I just to put everything into it. And for something that was larger than life, like Master of the Universe, that meant big action, huge action, big, set pieces, really spectacular world building. It meant comedy as far as I was concerned. And then at the core of it, it really meant that the movie needed to have a strong beating heart. And so it's about trying to find a way that we could blend all those really discrete flavors in a way that was harmonious and tasty as opposed to completely off-putting and foul. When if you don't get those ingredients right, it can very easily go wrong. It's a tightrope to walk. But I'm really proud of how it all came together. And I think the reason it came together, it was because of how much everyone believed in what we were doing. And I think that comes through in the movie.
And having the power sword and saying, like, I have the power is such an iconic moment. It's something fans are waiting to see. What went through your mind when you first performed that moment on set?
I have the power! Well, I did it in front of about 400 people in the crew. And,
really?
Everyone was really sort of anxious to, I think, hear me say it, because obviously, as you said, it's such an important line. And so I was very scared before I said it, but luckily Travis came out from behind the monitor afterwards, and we shared a nice hug, and luckily I think what ended up in the movie, the people have liked so far who have seen it.
This movie is also about the team of very unique characters coming together. What role do you think Tila plays within that group dynamic?
I think Tila is like, what we call a straight character, the one that sort of grounds the film. I think the audience can connect with her because they're sort of experiencing, all these other outlandish characters. I think she's the most, sort of stable, relatable character. Her role in the film is really to uplift Adam and to uplift her father to sort of recognize their own inner power.
You also told me this, that Jerry Bruckheimer once gave you this advice: protect that movie, meaning that during the production, the director has to be the guardian of the film. And on Masters of the Universe, what was the one thing that you feel you absolutely had to protect?
That's true, with a little asterisk. That piece of advice for me came from Michael Bay, actually. Michael Bay told me to
Michael
protect
Bay,
the movie.
sorry.
But Jerry Bruckheimer gave him that advice. So in a roundabout way, it came from Jerry Bruckheimer. In any case, it's incredibly true, and it's something that since I heard those words, which seem so obvious, I've held on to, and I've thought many, many times while I was making this movie, is protect the movie. Because these things are so challenging to make, and they take so much time, and things generally, there's a gravitational pull of suck constantly. Things want to be shitty. There's a draw towards the mean, towards the middle, to kind of sanding off the rough edges, or the things that make things a little jagged, which is the things that make things beautiful and interesting. And so every step of the way, you always have to protect what's special about it, protect the movie. I think that's incredible advice for any filmmaker, and something I've really held firm to. In this film, sometimes that meant put yourself in an uncomfortable position, to having to kind of take a stand against, someone you respect, or someone you really are supposed to listen to or agree with. Filmmaking is a collaborative medium at its core, which is one of the things I love about it. But at the end of the day, I think for a film to really work, it has to be someone's vision. From the very, very beginning, I knew what this movie needed to be. I told the producers of the studio what I wanted it to be, and they agreed, and I held to that every step of the way. And I'm proud that now we're here 2.5 years later, and it's the movie that I wanted to make, and I'm incredibly proud of it.
Imagine if you could show this movie to your younger self, what do you think they would be most excited about?
I think he would be very excited that I got to play with a sword every day for 5 months.
Exactly.
I think he would think that was the coolest job in the world. I know it sounds crazy, but that sword
is gonna show me the way home.
I think my younger self would be most excited about probably about the very last scene of the film, which I don't know if I'm allowed to share, but when we see her in sort of her restored Eternia look. I think young Cammy would love that outfit.
And He-Man is such a classic and a visually direct hero. And what was the most important to you in making that kind of larger-than-life hero feel real and believable for a modern audience?
Well, you know, I think when you get tasked with playing the most powerful man in the universe, it's very easy to just make him seem, you know, tough and stoic and sort of emotionally unreadable, I think, in a lot of ways. But for me, I think the thing that, like, really endears him to us is actually how vulnerable he is at times, certainly how we meet him. And so I think me and Travis had the same idea. We wanted to create someone who had a sensitivity to him, had a humanity to him. So then when we saw him at his full power, we really felt for him and we really want him to win.
Did you grow up watching or loving fantasy or adventure movie like this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I loved fantasy. I also grew up, playing Legend of Zelda, and I feel like this kind of reminded me of that a little bit, yeah.
Which was your best version of the original Zelda? Do you remember that?
Ocarina of Time.
Great. Yeah, I love that too. Yeah. I was surprised to see Dolph Lundgren appear in this film, and I saw that you met him at the premiere as well. And did he give you any advice about taking on the role of He-Man?
Yeah, I mean, not so much advice, but we just talked to each other, and I learned a lot about him and about his life, and I asked him a lot of questions about just his experience, I guess. But really, it was more just us getting to know each other, and I've loved working with him and loved meeting him.
I love this film. I'm sure the Japanese audience will love this film. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, my man. Hope I see you next time I'm in Tokyo. Cheers.
Yes. Thank you for having me today, and I hope to see you next time in Tokyo.
Amazing. I'd love that. See you soon.
Thank you so much.